Does age regression exist? Is it used in the secret space program? Apparently, yes. The forbidden alien technology the government is hiding. What would you do if you went to bed at your normal age one night and woke up 20 years younger in the morning? Think it's impossible? Think again. From the shadows of government conspiracies, behind the curtain of disinformation, and beyond what conventional science would have us believe, there is a much more complex, fascinating, and perhaps terrifying reality. The secret space program, a hotly debated topic, brings to light one of the most controversial hidden technologies, age regression. A forbidden technology or a hidden miracle? Numerous testimonies from whistleblowers, including Corey Goode, Randy Kramer, and Michael Relf, suggest that age regression is a procedure used by top-secret organizations to extend the lifespan of individuals involved in extraterrestrial missions or military experiments. According to these sources, some individuals are recruited to serve 20 years in space, only to be returned to Earth, re-entering their younger bodies, with no conscious memory of their experiences. But what is going on behind the smokescreen of official denial? How does age regression work? Who are the people who have undergone this process? What evidence suggests that this phenomenon is real? What are the implications for the future of humanity? These questions have puzzled humanity for years, and the evidence continues to pile up. Advanced studies by aerospace corporations, classified projects by world governments, and statements by those who have managed to regain their memories all converge on a shocking conclusion. Age regression is no longer a mere myth or a science fiction story. The truth you don't need to know. Top corporations, such as TRW and Northrop Grumman, are directly involved in the development of rejuvenation technologies. Even the Salk Institute has publicly announced its experiments on reversing the aging process. What other discoveries are still hidden? Many claim that NASA is just a facade, keeping humanity in ignorance, while secret technology is used by the elite. Is it possible that while we dream of space exploration, others are already living among the stars? Subscribe now and discover the truth. This is not just a documentary, but an incursion into the world's best-kept secrets. If you want to know how the future of humanity could change and what age regression means for our future, make sure to stay tuned. Subscribe now so you don't miss the shocking revelations that are coming. Share this video if you want others to know the truth. What do you think? Are you ready to learn what you weren't supposed to know? The topic of physical age regression is gaining more and more attention from the confessions of Corey Goode and other whistleblowers who worked in the secret space program. How does it happen? What is involved? Could it be true? Let's delve into this topic below. What is age regression? Imagine being taken out of bed, kidnapped in the middle of the night, and transported to an unknown facility where you are forced to sign a work contract somewhere off-planet. Then imagine that 20 years later, after a rigorous and sometimes extremely unpleasant tour of duty under that contract, you are age regressed and put back in bed, traveling back in time just moments after the original abduction. You wake up, feeling confused and nauseous, with hazy memories of the night before. You become aware of the confusion and the feeling that something is not right, and you go about your daily life as usual until your memories slowly start to return to your conscious mind. This time traveling through age regression sounds like the plot of a science fiction movie, but in fact, it is the testimony we hear from several people who have come forward as whistleblowers of the secret space program. The notions of time travel and physical age regression, from an old man to a young man, are similarly viewed as purely science fiction. Time travel and age regression have been the exciting and popular subject of successful science fiction novels and films. There are countless storybooks involving fountains of youth and time travel, such as Mary Pope Osborne's The Treehouse Magic or the time-jumping age reversal film series such as C.S. Lewis's The Chronicles of Narnia. We have all this to accept, to a greater or lesser extent, these ideas as viable or useful scenarios, even if they seem fictional. In fact, it has been demonstrated over time that in most science fiction films, viable information of the secret space program was actually displayed. Compare the technological reality of today with the SF films of the 70s. What is true? Let's enter the secret space program. According to a growing number of indicators, NASA is only a public interface for the American space program, designed, among other things, to roll in technological advances at a snail's pace, to keep the public in ignorance and unawareness of the advanced technologies that are secretly used behind the scenes. Some researchers and whistleblowers have estimated that this technology is 50 to 100 years ahead of what is offered to the general public. Stephen Greer, the initiator and coordinator of the Disclosure Project, stated in his book The Truth Hidden, Forbidden Information, that black technology, as it is called, is 10,000 years more advanced than what we currently use. Originally described as an American program funded by the black budget that developed through the acquisition of alien technology and applied through reverse engineering, replicating alien technology by building identical models or dismantling components from crashed or downed ET ships and reassembling them on an Earth model. There are several recent discoveries that the secret space program is actually international in scope. And even more spectacularly, that the secret space program has become a blanket term used to refer to dozens of organizations that have incorporated a diverse range of advanced alien technologies. These diverse operations interact with secessionist human civilizations that exist entirely off-planet, as well as numerous extraterrestrial species. The 20 and Back program, as described by secret space program whistleblowers, is only a small part of a complex interstellar reality that is literally galactic in scope. Lost in space. One such secret space program leaker is Corey Goode. In one such leak, Corey Goode describes his experience of being age regressed as part of the 20 and Back program. According to Goode, the 20 and Back tour of duty program involved thousands of people, including civilians like himself and many in the military. The initial abduction involves the individual being abducted from their bed, taken to a secret facility, and more or less forced to volunteer for the program. Promises are made that upon completion of this contract, you and your family will receive free college, scholarships, and a six-figure income. These promises are not kept, since, conveniently enough, at the end of the 20 years of service, the individual's memory is wiped using blank slate technology. Blank slating is designed to erase the memory of the abduction, the memory of the experiences of 20 years of service, all promises, and everything else from the individual's mind. Other memories are implanted to cover a few minutes that overlap the initial abduction and the reinsertion of time points. Blank slating does not work on 3 to 5% of those subjected to this program, and Goode is included. Goode began to regain his true memories only a few weeks after his return. For many others, it is more than 20 years after the end of their contract that memories begin to emerge. This was the case with both Randy Kramer and Michael Relf, two other whistleblowers subjected to this 20 and Back program. Both Kramer and Relf were in the military and began to regain their true memories 20 years after their return dates. They also received extensive mind control program cleansing therapy to help them regain their memories. Dr. Michael Salla, a pioneer in the development of exopolitics, the political study of key actors, institutions, and processes associated with extraterrestrial life, and founder of exopolitics, cross-referenced Goode, Relf, and Kramer and found very little contamination. In fact, although involved in very different aspects serving different functions within the secret space program, the details described in the confessions of these three men seem to support each other's accounts. How does age regression occur? According to Dr. Salla, the descriptions of the age regression process by Goode, Kramer, and Relf contain many of the same details and appear to be consistent with each other. In the episode of Cosmic Disclosure with David Wilcock, Corey Goode provides a fairly detailed description of the age regression process. First, at the end of his contract, he is brought to the COL, or Lunar Operations Command, at a base that, although unknown to the general public, exists on the moon. He is made to sign non-disclosure agreements about everything he has seen and experienced during his 20 years of service. The subject is then put through a variety of medical tests and extensive interrogation. According to Dr. Salla, these procedures at the COL, including the broken promises, are consistent in Relf and Kramer's accounts as well. Goode describes being placed on what appeared to be a normal hospital bed and being given medication while a phone was placed around him, which immobilized his body. He said that he was put into a coma for 2 weeks and that it was important that he not move. He was then aware that several pharmaceuticals were being administered to him, and eventually he would lose consciousness. When he woke up, he was 20 years younger and no longer in the same environment. In fact, he was pretty sure that he had been time regressed while he was sleeping. He is interrogated once more by the staff who exist at that time, 20 years earlier, after which he is given something that puts him to sleep once more. The next time he wakes up, he is in his bed, in his home, moments after his original abduction. He feels dizzy and confused. He does not remember the abduction, space travel, or reinsertion events. Several weeks later, memories begin to emerge in conflict with the implanted memories. For example, Corey describes having a memory of walking into his house, through the front door, into bed, but he also has a memory of walking through a portal directly into his room and into bed. Amazingly, this is probably the portal that is the real memory, and walking through the front door is the fake one. As it turns out, not everything is as it seems. Although the accounts of Good, Kramer, and Ralph support each other, there is no hard evidence. It is undeniable. However, another whistleblower, William Tompkins, has come forward, and he has provided documents to substantiate his claims of participation in a variety of corporate aerospace projects of the U.S. Navy related to the secret space program. The documentation is provided in his book Selected by Aliens, but he also privately revealed to Dr. Sala that these corporations were involved in age regression technology. This technology is definitely of extraterrestrial origin. According to Tompkins, TRW is currently involved in the construction of quarries and battle groups, which are used by the secret space program. TRW was acquired by Northrop Grumman in 2002, which, according to their website, brings world-class capabilities in the design of systems and aircraft design and develops technologies for underwater, outer space, and cyberspace applications. In 2013, Northrop Grumman was awarded a government contract for the biodefense response capability. Biodefense manipulation requires knowledge of biological systems and requires biological research. The field of biological research is the specialty of the Salk Institute, another heavyweight in emerging technologies. In December 2016, Salk announced that it had successfully regressed the age of a living mouse, as well as human cells in vitro. Study author Alejandro Ocampo states that in theory, epigenetic reprogramming should work in mice as well as humans at any age, adding that even human centenarian cells could eventually be rejuvenated. He and senior study author Belmonte say they can improve the efficiency and results of the technique with more research, and that it can reverse the epigenetic changes responsible for aging, using more easily handled chemicals, moving towards the possibility of treatment for humans. This seems to suggest the development of a pharmaceutical approach, such as that experimented with by the secret space program leakers. It's time for a re-examination. Time travel is another issue. While well-known historical events such as the Philadelphia experiment appear to have broken the 3D space-time continuum, this is not an experiment that has been repeated and publicly accepted. From this, the Montauk Project later grew, where leaker Preston Nichols made revelations about fantastic experiments by time travel and time portal travel to Mars, the so-called jump room technology, which Andrew Basiago also testifies to when he regained his erased memories through regression. Amazingly, other people involved in the Montauk Project have come forward and corroborated his claims. Despite amazing revelations such as this, time travel is still viewed by the general public as fiction. In 2014, physicists at the University of Queensland, Australia, conducted a study using time loop closure that allowed a single particle of light, photon, to pass through a wormhole and interact with its older self. So, perhaps, if the 50 to 100 years from now estimate is true, time travel is not so impossible to access after all, unless in the near future dark technology is released and used publicly, peacefully, for the benefit of humanity. A reality check. It seems that we live in a world where science fiction is rapidly becoming reality. Amazing technologies are being developed, or even already exist, at a dizzying rate, and many technologies that were, and still are, considered fiction are becoming reality. The narratives of secret space program whistleblowers regarding age-related temporal regression seem fantastic, but as we have seen, it seems that there are already major corporations apparently involved in such technology, and they have publicly announced experiments that seem to support their claims. If this is true, the question arises, where are we going? The potential impact of age regression and time travel technology is a bit mind-boggling. In these times of rapid change, it is important that there is public awareness, discourse, debate, and consensus about where these technologies, such as these, are taking us. And as they say, only time will tell.